様子がおかしいんだ。急に二人で盛り上がって。幸香さんはともかく。
Oh, come on, Shoma. We all know that Sachika doesn't act like that. Well, she doesn't act like that mostly. Well, not all the time. Should have quit while I was still ahead. Continuing right from where we left off last week, our heroes were exchanging notes, including how Longo was still alive. Of course, they wanted to figure out what he was up to, but that was more just endgame stuff, and there was still the matter of the second eldest brother of the Stolmoks, who, to be fair, has been kind of the biggest instigator of the plot of the show, which Hanto could certainly attest to.
I
mean, to be fair, I think your boss is kind of used to it by now. But yeah, this led to a bit of a conflict for this episode, with Shoma and Hanto debating on whether or not to trust Nyelv, which was especially understandable for Hanto because, again, alongside Suga, a lot of the things that have gone wrong in his life was because of him. That said, you do also have to feel for Shoma, as outside of a whole nother reality, he's never had any really good big bros. Thus, it was kinda sad to see him trying to go back to the Grand Newt world to save a brother who, until recently, was on his hit list. As for said somewhat evil brother, he was getting the typical Fed treatment, but was kept alive to complete his latest project that of course would be the focal point of these last few episodes. This let Jeep have one of his more meaningful exchanges in the series, who weren't just his twin or his toxic wife. Nyelv admitted that he did see Shoma as the true savior of their family, which made the second youngest brother realize that he was the true runt of the litter. Just ignore the fact that he somehow managed to survive until the final few episodes of this series. But yeah, as a result, he ended up consulting with Liesel, which yeah, I think we all know at this point, that's the last thing anyone should want to do, much less the husband to this walking chemical plant. Yet, interestingly, after very much unintentionally encouraging him, Jeep sincerely thanked Liesel for making him feel better.
ありがとう。
Yeah, I'm the servant in the background here, just going, ooh, wow, that was kind of awkward. Yeah, I'm just gonna go over here and, yeah. I think there's a few different ways you can interpret this. One is disappointment that she failed to properly gaslight her hubby. Second is shock over Jeep, of all characters, actually showing some spirit. Or third, maybe she actually realized for the first time in her life that she kind of likes making people happy. Hell, it could even be a combination of all of that. We'll probably get an answer in the next couple of episodes, and I will say, I'm interested in seeing where they end up going with these two. Back with Hanto, he was reflecting on what he said, and oh Jesus. Dude, you do realize that thing is basically part of a corpse that I'm assuming that you've been keeping in your bag this whole time. Anyway, Lockyer found him and basically told him to try and think more about Shoma's feelings, which, as we do near the end of the series, it should be all too clear to these three men that they've all been through a lot. It's honestly been a highlight of the show, with these guys really feeling like a proper team. They have their disagreements, sure, but they will always come back together in the end. Conversely, while the villains could work together, it was clear that it was only ever going to be a temporary alliance. Anyway, Nyelv completed his latest creations, which were artificial cortisol that didn't quite make clear what they represented, but I think we can make a logical assumption. Bro, these f***ing brownies are the best. Nah, of course, they were a combination of Lockyer's toxin, and as we'd see later, the brainwashing traits of the Big Magnum. And of course, to prevent any part-timers from being affected, it was modded to only work on humans, though a half-grand newt like Shoma was also immune, and as for Hanto...
Hanto?
Well, that's optimal meme material if I've ever seen it. Fortunately, he quickly snapped out of it. They didn't say why, but I think we can just assume his Grand Newt organ worked its magic and made him immune. Like seriously, for something that was haphazardly put in by a total quack, he's actually gotten quite a lot of mileage out of it. Anyway, using another Big Magnum, because I guess Bandai has a lot of leftover stock, Liesel ordered all of the civilians to gather to be pressed. As a result, Sachika and Masaru were also mind-washed to go. Lakia tried to watch over them, but then we got easily the most shocking development of this series so far. Like seriously, was that door always just there? In the end, and in a bit of tragic irony, he had to rely on his modded Gavv to press the tube before the villains could. And as it just so happened, Jeeb was there to rub it in his face and challenge him to a fight. We'd see the follow-up to this next week. Back with Shoma, he managed to track down where everyone was going and confronted Nyelv and his brother, who in one of the more subtly sad bits of the series, he was at first happy to see, but could then quickly tell something was off. Yep, seemingly as a final concession to try and stay alive, he had offered to kill his brother for Boka. And unlike Nyelv, I think Shoma's expression and body language here was a little clearer. Pure disappointment over his brother reverting back to his old habits. As a result, he even left himself open to an attack that he might have suffered had Hanto not shown up. This led to a 2-on-1, where, as has been kind of the motif of the show, it led to a fight in a confined space, in this case a cramped apartment building. I feel like there's something missing here. Oh, I know.
Course you realize this means war.
But yeah, as always, it led to some pretty fun and creative choreography. However, things were cut short when Boka arrived. Oh, not because he interrupted or anything, but more because Nyelv tried to pull one final flex on the president when he revealed that he installed all of the artificial gochizos with bombs and wanted Boka to see his plans fall apart in person. I'm guessing he also figured that Boka might retaliate and might even kill him on the spot, but it didn't really matter to him, just as long as he got the last laugh. Well, I think I hear some faint laughter. Oh no wait, it's just my ears ringing. Yep, sure enough, Boka had yet again reverse Uno'd Nyelv's plans and had his guys remove all of the bombs from the gochizos and I guess put a few of them in Nyelv's detonator. Now, I have seen some mixed reactions to this twist that was admittedly a sudden and unceremonial death for Nyelv, which has been confirmed as his actor got his literal flowers and everything. Personally though, I do lean towards liking it for reasons we'll go over in just a bit in the closing thoughts. But yeah, with that, the episode ended with Boka taking aim at the riders as we entered into the final boss battle of the series. As we just said, I think this will be a bit of a divisive episode, depending on how you feel about Nyelv's fate. It was unquestionably sudden, and definitely nowhere near as graceful as his sister's deaths, but I personally feel like it was fitting for the character. Meanwhile, there are a lot of other smaller developments that are making this endgame kind of intriguing. When you get down to it, Nyelv, alongside Glota, was one of Shoma's more sympathetic siblings. From the day he was talked down to by his grandfather, he constantly tried to one-up everyone around him with just his intelligence rather than his genetic brawn. Granted, I'm pretty sure he worked out a little on the side to get that swole, but still clearly his primary thing was to work smarter, not harder. And to his credit, it did work, at least when dealing with his siblings and their short-sightedness, though he didn't realize that his sightedness didn't extend that much further. While I still think his plans were good, I will say he was clumsy in keeping track of, and not considering what sort of dirty tricks Boka might pull, which considering he's a politician, you really should be more careful. Thus him dying a rather pathetic death did make sense, and was even kind of tragically appropriate, considering how all of this started with Zom calling him weak, and ultimately kind of being proven right. That's it, and while I overall like this conclusion, I am also hoping that there's some good follow-up with Shoma, who amongst all of his siblings, Nyelv was the closest thing he had to getting a good brother, and in another world where the assassination had succeeded, maybe they also could have gotten along. Likewise, I hope there's a little fallout for Lakia using his Gavv to press Sachika and Masaru, because yeah, while he was saving them, it is still a little messed up. And of course, Nyelv and Jeeb's role in these final few episodes could be interesting depending on how their relationship develops. And overall, this episode just had a lot of moving parts to it, and a surprising death that made it pretty interesting. Hopefully, the amoral scientists can enjoy their company together in hell. Thank you for watching, and if you want to get a little high, well, we can't really help you with that, otherwise we'd get banned. What we do have is new videos coming out almost every day, and hopefully some longer form ones coming out later this month. Look forward to whatever comes next. Until then though, farewell for now my friends, and Is somebody burning some incense or something? God, why am I so hungry all of a sudden?